Hello and welcome to the new update, The Way of Fire. New country / trees. The sheriff is now apparently in the game. Literally everything I know about this update is the Discord thing. On the Equestria or Discord, where they're like, oh, here's the new things of this. Yay, cool. That's literally all I know. So we're going into it. New country / trees, Zebraca. So we've got the realm of Kiria. For more than a century, King Kiria languished under the oppressive silence. Today, the lifting of the silence and the ascent of starry-eyed reformer Autumn Blaze to the imperial permaship portends a period of great change for the realm. How will you lead the Kirin into the millennium? But also, apparently this is another civil war nation, which slightly annoyed about. I really hate going through civil wars, but you know, it's probably the last time I said I hate going through civil wars. This is gonna be annoying. It ended with it being my favorite nation I've ever played in any mod in the entirety of my life playing any Paradox game. So I mean, hey, apparently going through civil wars is worth it. Plus, this time I won't have to go through like 2 or 3. I don't even remember how many that one was for. This time I only got to go through 1. So, hopefully. I don't actually know much about this. But yeah, let's see how this goes. Kiria's merchants and innovators fled the realm when the silence was imposed. Their sons and daughters returned to Kiria today with the wealth of foreign lands and business ventures at their backs, hoping to take part in the great endeavors to bring modernity, technology, and industry to their homeland. And should Autumn Blaze prove him unfit to lead, to take on the mantle of leadership themselves, not playable at game start? The peasantry and common Kirin have long been neglected and exploited by the aloof government in faraway Vermilion. Under the leadership of Rising Sun, the downtrodden and oppressed of Kiria will cast off their shackles and to forge a new and better and more equal future for themselves and their kin from the ashes of the great gallop onward. I have no idea when this civil war is supposed to start, what's supposed to happen, how this is supposed to go. I don't know, like, anything about anything, but well, we're here. A brief history. A century ago, the silence was decreed to save Kiria from the chaos and strife of modern civilization. Today, the silence has been lifted, and the realm emerges from its self-imposed isolation into a world even more dangerous and unstable, fraught with hostile ideologies, predatory empires, and war. To realize her dream of an open and prosperous Kiria, idealistic Premier Autumn Blaze must use all her skill and wits to lead her Kirin out of the dark past, and through the turbulent present. The realm must stand united against the Sharfuka forces unleashed by the unbridled dash for national modernization. Fail, and the ensuing cacophony will make the Kirin yearn for the quiet of a new silence. Some things to be expecting, apparently, in the Vermilion realm. With the ratification of the Hyacinth Accord and the departure of the Equestrian delegation, it is time for the Matriarch Superior to bring the silence to an end in earnest and allow her realm to focus on modernization and rejoining the global community. A grand assembly of the brightest minds, both within and without Kiria, will serve as the basis upon which to begin our modernization effort. The 3.5-year plan. The rapid modernization of Kiria will be a chaotic process that can only be sustained for so long. The Matriarch has proclaimed the Grand Gallop onward, aiming to fast-track a century's worth of lost progress in 3.5 years. The plenum will have to deftly manage the tremendous transformation of Kirin society and culture if Kiria is to emerge intact from the rough and hasty metamorphosis. The new standard army. It is difficult to create a modern army from scratch, but we will have to try regardless. Standardizing army doctrine and training regiments, laying out the benefits and terms of service, and acquiring foreign weapons and surplus equipment will go a long way in providing the basis to build the new standard army upon. I'm probably just gonna go with the base, like staying with Autumn Blaze's clique, The clergy of this nation guides the populace while allowing democratic institutions to exist under a watchful eye. Religious values are highly regarded and the gods are worshipped faithfully, with there being no separation between faith and state. Yeah, I think I'm going to just stay with the base, and not go out, like, just not be one of the rebellions for my first run as the station, but I'm probably going to end up coming back to this station. Signed in 1006 between Matriarch Superior Rainshine and Equestrian representatives Applejack and Fluttershy, both bearers of elements of harmony. The Hihatic Accords established formal diplomatic and economic ties between the nations of Equestria and Kiria. Equestria would aid the realm of Kiria in affairs of modernization in return for preferential treatment in matters of geopolitics, trade, and commerce. We have vestiges of silence. Though the silence is ending in Kiria, the crippling effects it has left on our nation since its institution a century ago are still widely felt. It will take time and concerted effort by our leaders and mystics to shake off this awful shackle of our past. And the Way of the Fire encompasses the omnipresent religious beliefs of the Kieran species, where facetious devotion of the fire goddess Concord succeeded, where conquest and diplomacy failed in unifying the Kieran species under one flag. The teachings of the Way of Fire encouraged friendly relations with one's neighbor and strongly discouraged any thoughts and actions that could lead to a fall into the Neuric state, helping to facilitate the construction of a functional Kieran society. As part of its beliefs, all Kieran owe complete devotion and reverence to the Matriarch Superior, their divine leader who unites the Concord's godly divinity under her ascension, and whose will is interpreted and executed by her hierarchy of priests and mystics scattered throughout the realm. Defiance of the Matriarch decrees is considered blasphemy against Concord herself, and so the Matriarchs of Kiria rule with absolute theocratic authority. This is useful for keeping the populace in line with Matriarch's desires, but less useful in facilitating the expression of new ideas. So we're going to start with some research speed minus, and a disability to fight wars, but we're kind of popular, and you know, we got some stability from it, and harmony is going up from working with Equestria. We are going through, no political power, no army, no economy, no research, no building, no, at least our ideological drift defense, and other nations can't declare war on us as easily. That's nice. I'd say everything is gonna go completely fine. I'm sure nothing could ever go wrong here. I think that's what's gonna happen. Nothing is gonna go wrong. At all. And as the leader, Rainshine, I promise that to be the case. The Vermilion Realm of Kiria. The realm of Kiria, born from the squabbling mess of Kieran villages and tribes that dotted the land for centuries, was only birthed roughly around the year 450 ALB, becoming the first unified nation-state in the species' history. Until that point, the Kieran lived in a state of constant conflict, with the political landscape of the region consisting of an ever-shifting set of alliances that formed and fractured along with the temperaments of their leaders. For the Kieran species, bears, a powerful and dangerous curse, live within them. Okay, they bear it, as in not like actual bears. The ability to transform into a beast of fire and fury, a Nurk upon becoming enraged, losing all sense of friend and foe, shedding their inhibitions and better judgment. When disagreements could leave entire villages burnt to cinders, unification of this aggressive species seemed impossible. But where conquest, cunning, and cooperation failed, the Way of Fire proved successful. The Way was a set of religious beliefs that taught its followers to practice controlling their emotions and reject the Neuric state, so that it would be possible for Kieran to live in peace and harmony with each other. Those that followed the Way pointed to the teachings and responsibilities given to all Kieran by their mythological deity, Concord, who had entrusted the Kieran species with the last spark of primordial fire that birthed the world. Succumbing to the destruction of the Neuric state was a reduction of the rejection and corruption of Concord's gift, and Kirin could only be worthy of her gifts if they ceased their fighting and worked together. To the Kirin, long weary of destruction and fighting their violent natures enforced on them, the Way of Fire offered an escape to a better life. After the years, the majority of the Kirin realm unified under the leadership of the Vermilion priests, establishing a peaceful society for the first time in their history to work together and better their lot in life. Over time, the priests that ruled the society slowly morphed into the Vermilion dynasty, led by the infallible matriarch Superior. The stability offered by the dynasty in the Way enabled the Kirin nation to expand in power and influence, allowing it to dominate much of southeastern Zebrica. But even the dynasty's power was not enough to prepare Kiria for the modern age. As the transition from feudalism to capitalism was well underway, precipitated by a proliferating merchant class, 9th century Kiria experienced significant technological progress alongside the transformation of socio-economic and political norms. The cities of Raspidi, Fragrance, and Verdant became the loci for the forces of modernization sweeping across the Kirin homeland. With the population boom induced by advancements in agriculture, the growth of these cities created conditions ideal for the ascent of the Kirin bourgeoisie, composed of merchants, landlords, and scholar intellects, whose growing participation and influence in civil society undermined the control of the dynasty and the Way of the Fire over Kiria realm. With the stratification of society along class lines came an increase in conflict. As they attempted to extend their control over Kiria's economy and agriculture, the interest of the Kirin merchants and landlords came into opposition with those of the peasants and city-dwelling laborers. Discontent built up among the lower classes, and before too long, violent and destructive peasant uprisings engulfed the land, excavated by the violent transformations of thousands of disgruntled peasants into Nirk that had ravaged large parts of the countryside and set flame to the realm's urban centers. In an act of desperation, Matriarch Superior, Noctusult Charm, instituted a series of harsh political measures that decreed that would collectively come to be known as the Silence. The matriarch decreed that it was treason to assume a position of power over another Kirin, as it undermined the absolution of her divine rule. All forms of currencies were therefore declared blasphemous, as were property rights. All forms of hierarchy, organization, and relationships were also outlawed. The only exception was families, and the Way of Fire's hierarchy, albeit reduced to a rump of its most zealous and ultra-orthodox, and therefore trustworthy acolytes. The majority of city-dwelling Kirin were ordered to return to the countryside and engage in subsistence farming, depopulating the cities. Those who defied the Silence were orchestrated and shunned, for the worship and veneration of the Vermilion dynasty was so prolific and deeply entrenched within Kirin society that much of the populace at the time had become firmly devoted to their matriarch. During that period of conflict and strife, as Kiria teetered on the brink of civil war, the matriarch Superior had become had become bastion of serenity and calm in the midst of the tempest. The remnant of the Kirin bourgeoisie fled, either overseas or to the most distant reaches of the realm, away from imperial authority, now more or less defunct, because there was no longer a state through with which the matriarch Superior could exercise her power. The realm of Kiria had effectively been put in a dark corner to slowly die. Nocturus Charm died in 971, at which point her only daughter, Princess Rainshine, ascended as matriarch Superior. In a markedly modest affair, Rainshine was determined to live up to her mother's legacy and set about upholding the decrees of Silence, dedicated most of her life to intensive study of the scriptures of the Way of Fire. The Silence would last for roughly a century, before an equestrian diplomatic mission would venture into the isolated nation with the hopes of gaining an audience with Rainshine. Working with a few dissident Kirin, the mission was ultimately successful in helping Rainshine really realize her mother's error, and began the first steps in opening up the country. As a new era dawns on Kiria, it is up to the matriarch to undo the damage the Silence has. Eastern Zebrica, because we haven't played a nation that has this region, so we might as well read it. The homeland of the Kirin race. The region of Eastern Zebrica, collectively known as Kiria, features many different landscapes, separated from the dear and llamas to the north by a tall and nearly impenetrable mountain range, and from the zebra nations to the west and south, and by the mighty Mekong River in the north, and the terrain in predominantly plains and hills, interspersed with significant swaths of dense forest. This region is controlled by the realm of Kiria, the largest and most powerful Kirin state. This area is home to two important river systems that make it hospitable and suitable for a thriving agricultural society. Foremost is the lifeblood of Kiria, the magnificent Great Malflume, and its many tributaries, which connect the majority of the region together and provide for fertile farmland between the river's many branches. The Great Malflume empties into the South Kirin Sea after passing by Verdant, the trade city that connects the region to the lesser Kirin nation in the south. The imperial capital of Vermilion sits along the easternmost branches of the Great Malflume, nestled safely in a fertile valley surrounded by mountains and hills that partially isolate and protect it from surrounding countryside. To the north lies this... Alright, sorry about that. To the north lies the other smaller but just as vital river system, the Carmen River, terminates at the port city of Fragrance. Once the primary trading hub in the entire realm, connecting the merchants and traders of the realm of Kiria to the rest of Zebrica, nowadays the rivers are sparsely traveled, with the most Kirin returning to subsistence farming in the plains between the rivers, their once magnificent cities depopulated and declining, the infrastructure falling into disrepair. However, the region is rich in natural resources, land, and people, and the rivers make it a perfect candidate for industrialization, should the silence ever end. In the south of Kiria, 3 autonomous states split off from the realm of Kiria when the silence began. Oh, okay. The Sin Kirn, Land Kirmetric, and Kamir. So these 3 used to be part of us. Oh, I can definitely tell they used to be a part of us. That's our race. That's our people. But they're constantly in their fire form. And, oh yeah, and these 2 are also our race. But, that one's still in our fire form. These 2 are not. I have a feeling that one's not gonna work through diplomacy, while these 2 might. That's my guess for, future. Are all predominated by dense jungles and forests, with far fewer resources and much smaller population than our northern brethren. Their lands are underdeveloped and untamed, and it will take a great effort to modernize the lower Kirin lands to the same level as the north once was. Of these 3 nations, Sin Kirin which one? Of the 3 nations, of these 3 nations, Sin Kirin, this one, okay, fares the best, as the city of Blossom, this one, as the city of Blossom has remained a valuable trading port following the collapse of the trade routes in the north, and its lands are not as densely wooded as their 2 western neighbors. It will take effort and strong leader, but perhaps there is a chance that these 3 southern Kirin nations may one day unite and find themselves strong enough to withstand a resurgent northern Kirin. Yeah, except right now, none of these guys actually have focus trees. I am curious for this guy to get a focus tree, just because, I feel like there's gonna be interesting with how their leader starts angry. Rainshine, Matriarch Superior of Kiria. Matriarch Superior Rainshine has lived her entire life upholding the imperial decrees that instituted the societal and cultural stagnations and decay of the realm of Kiria, and never once did she imagine that she would be the Kirin to undo them. The decrees had been issued by her mother, Matriarch Superior Nocturus Charm, in 902, and when she passed in 971, Rainshine swore upon her ascension prior that she would maintain her mother's policies and devote her life to studying the way of the fire and the teachings of the fire goddess, Concord, to protect Kiria. Ooh, we also have recovery rate. That's cool. However, in 1006, an unexpected diplomatic mission from Equestria ventured into the isolated nation and reached Rainshine's court in Vermilion. There, 2 bearers of the elements of harmony, Fluttershy and Applejack, argued that they had seen Kiria living in poverty and squalor all throughout the realm as a result of the silence, and what was effective in preventing near transformations, it needed to end for the good of all Kirin kind. They offered Equestria an aid in getting the nation back on its hooves, and Rainshine isolated from her subjects in the royal palace and oblivious to their plights, realized that their continuing the silence would only spell doom for her subjects in the long run. Though she had sworn to uphold her mother's policies, once Rainshine learned of the terrible cost the silence had on the people of Kiria, she agreed to repeal her mother's decrees and end it once and for all. Now, with the silence ending in Kiria, Rainshine has pledged to make up for her mother's mistakes and bring the Kiran species into the modern age. But after 60 years of seclusion in Vermilion, Rainshine may find that her authority is nowhere near as strong as her mother's was a century ago. Oh, we have a lot of cities. Okay. Oh, and wow, and we have cities of our guys down there. Wow. Okay, that's a lot. And what about generals? I'll start with generals, if we have any. We do have. Like ponies, Kirin are small equines. They have bushier manes that wrap around their neck, slightly larger ears, curved horns, scaly carapaces, thin tails, tufted, cloven hooves. Unlike ponies, they have no subgroups, and all Kirin have magical horns. Due to their affinity to fire, Kirin transform into flaming creatures known as Nirik when they lose their temper. They are also omnivorous. Ooh, interesting. We got a peasant sympathizer, holds sympathies for the peasants and working class. Let's see, any other unique thing? Barnerkin Commander. This leader is a commander of the Kirin Banner. The Vermilion Dynasty's banner system codifies a warrior caste centered around familial clans, all of which can trace their lineage back to ancestors who had served in the army of the first Kirin matriarch, Asinius Dawn. This leader would have trained from a young age in martial arts and leadership, so as to carry on their banner's proud legacy of military service to the Kirin realm. All Kirin banners are headed by a patriarch or matriarch commander, who are the most distinguished member of their clan, usually capable warriors and leaders in their prime. The leader may or may not be the topmost commander of their banner, but regardless, they are a respectable and experienced commander with much seniority. Firethorn. Heaps of praise could be had upon the head of the banner of the Sintin Moonflower. Its matriarch commander, Firethorn, was raised in a banner that had both evolved into a complex clan and retained enough soldiers to fight alongside its equals, at least before the Silence. In the Silence years, Firethorn had seen the folly of the Silence a century in the making. Her clan had propped themselves up thanks to their loyalty to the realm, but outside the banner's cozy home villages, the rest of Kiria had languished. Just miles away, a small city had thrived. That seemed a lie when all she saw and walked through was a ghost town populated by farmers who lived hoof to mouth. That memory returned when Rainshine announced the Silence end. No longer will her banner and the soldiers she takes care of serve themselves and decrepit pieces of a dying government. A reborn realm she serves, the realm and all the Kirin that are now suddenly free. Cool. Anyone else, or just that one person gets the description? Okay, cool. Just that one person, just that one. But I think I'll go into the specific cities in the next episode. I don't want to get that started when we're a couple minutes before we did anyways. So I'll go ahead and land it a little early this time. But I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you're excited for this new series, and if you are, like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell button to make sure you don't miss this new series. See ya in the next one. And, as always, peace.